You're good to go, Prashant.
Hey. Yep. So welcome everyone for our GREENICON project webinar. So this is related to the project called GREENICON, so which is a project in collaboration with the North Carolina State University and University of Sao Paulo. It's led by the Global Center for Clinical Research at the University of Surrey, with a number of colleagues involved from different faculties and different departments there. If you wanted to know more about the project, you can have a look on the GCare website, where there is a project under project, so you can find more information there. So, and this project is funded by the University Global Partnership Network. So this is a network of universities, which is University of Surrey, North Carolina State University, and University of Sao Paulo. So we have a pleasure of being part of this interesting project and the consortium. So if you go back again, sorry. So this, you can see that I lead the project from the University of Surrey side, and I've got my colleague Professor Christopher Frey. So he is leading from the North Carolina State University, and then we got Professor Fabiana Lucia do Oliveira. She leads from the University of Sao Paulo side. And as you can see on the left side, so we got a number of colleagues coming from Surrey Sleep Research Centre, Computer Science, AI Institute, with a number of the early career researchers, including PhD and postdocs involved in it from the different sites there. So if you go next. So yeah, so we have got this. It's basically a 6 webinar series, and this is first of those 6 webinars. So you can see the dates on these webinars, which are coming through in there. The whole idea of this series is to bring together the experience of colleagues in indoor air quality, greening, sleep, health, and the various sort of components which are quite interlinked. With this project. For these webinars, we have 2 speakers. So I'll introduce our speakers for the day today. And we also got a YouTube channel, the GCare YouTube channel. So these webinars will be uploaded there. So if you are not being able to see it, or if you wanted to look at these later on, so you can then refer back. Now today, as I mentioned, we got 2 fantastic speakers, and our first of the speakers is Professor Derk-Jan Dijk. He is from the Sleep Research Centre, University of Surrey, and the UK Dementia Research Institute. You might know he's one of the pioneers in the area, doing fantastic work on the sleep research. And the second speaker we have is Dr. Akash Biswal. So he's a research fellow at the Global Center for Clinical Research. So just to introduce our first speaker before I give a floor to them. So Professor Derk-Jan Dijk is a distinguished professor at the University of Surrey and director of Surrey Sleep Research Centre. He has studied human sleep and circadian rhythms for more than 40 years. His recent research focuses on the use of novel technologies for the longitudinal monitoring of sleep, psychology, and the outdoor and indoor environment. And this approach holds promise from understanding how changes in environment relate to health outcomes and for monitoring the effectiveness of countermeasures. And he's a critical person in the project, GREENICON, to embed the health and sleep aspect to this particular project. So before any further ado, over to you, Professor Derk. And but before you do that, in the meantime, just to say that these webinars are recorded, so you can have them, you can watch them later on. At the same time, please use the Q&A chat box to write your questions. And if you can just write your questions and your name, so I can speak for you, and I can read those questions for our two speakers today. Yeah, I mean, I think that's it. So we got two presentations, one after another, and then, yeah, over to you.
Good. Well, thank you, Prashant. It's a pleasure being here. And I'm going to give a short presentation, and the topic is sleep, health, and environment. And what I hope to accomplish is to kind of explain our approach and how that may be useful for this particular project. As mentioned, I'm at the Surrey Sleep Research Centre. We work closely with the UK Dementia Research Institute and also with the Oxford Health Biomedical Research Centre. And a lot of this is focused on technology. So this is a pretty slide, I hope you can agree with, which has this title has Sleep, Circadian Rhythms and Environmental Cycles. And biologists will say, yes, our circadian rhythms have evolved because the Earth is rotating around its axis, and there are wonderful cycles of light and darkness. There are also cycles of temperature, low and high, and our biology is very much adapted to these cycles. But as we all know, there is global warming, and this is quite a nice illustration from the University of Reading, how over the years going from left to right, temperatures color-coded here indeed increase, and there is no doubt, and I don't have to convince anyone in this audience to convince you. So that's pretty clear. There is also changes in the light environment, and you could easily say that yes, there is temperature pollution, light pollution, in the same way as there is air pollution. This is just a picture made by NASA of London, and the circle here is the famous or infamous M25 going around London, and you can see all of the light. Now, this is light which you see from the outside, but of course, there is also light indoors, and I'll come back to this later. So I think it's fair to say that nowadays there is both light pollution, there is temperature pollution, there is air pollution, there is probably noise pollution, and so there are many different types of pollution, and we would like to, of course, develop countermeasures and see how effective these countermeasures are. Just a step back to maybe the biology of this system. Humans are designed to sleep in darkness at night when environmental temperatures, but also body temperatures, are low. What you see here is a representation of light, and if you look carefully, you see an icon that represents the sun, and there is another icon that represents an LED. And we need to realize that nowadays we have both the natural light dark cycle and we have human-made light, and that human-made light is under our control, which is very different from the natural situation. Now, this light actually interacts with molecular mechanisms that generate circadian rhythms. Yeah, and some of these pathways are very well known. I should probably change my pointer. And there is a lot of research going on there. So this is not just some kind of an idea. There is hardcore neuroscience, biological sciences between the influence of light and circadian rhythms. Now, what these circadian rhythms are doing is they are creating physiological rhythms. And these physiological rhythms are designed such that we can optimally function during the day and optimally sleep at night. And it generates all kinds of rhythms. So here, for example, we have the rhythm of core body temperature. And you can see it's a wonderful rhythm. And this yellow box illustrates where we normally sleep. Yeah, we normally sleep when body temperature is low. Those circadian rhythms help us to stay awake during the day by creating a drive for wakefulness, which is absent during the night. So there is some well integrated, coordinated physiology going on in our system. Now, if you go to hunter-gatherers somewhere in Africa, those people still today sleep in synchrony with environmental temperature and light cycles. And this is illustrated here. So these are the Hadza in Tanzania, and this is a paper that was published 10 years ago in Current Biology, where they measured environmental temperature and then recorded the environmental temperature, and then they looked at where people slept. And as you can see, they sleep when environmental temperature is low, and they actually go to bed after sunset. They may sit around campfires, and they wake up before sunrise, so basically at dawn. Of course, many of us now sleep at many very different times relative to sunrise and sunset, and that's in part driven through that artificial light. Now, these cycles of temperature and sleep and wakefulness are not just in our body, they're also in our brain. Yeah, this is a plot we made many years ago of brain temperature, and these were epileptic patients who were staying in a hospital for a prolonged period of time and had electrodes placed within their cranium, and you can see this wonderful rhythmic temperature. It rises during the light period and is lower during the dark period. And this is where people sleep. If you even look more carefully, this is now the night, and you see this drop in temperature. And here you have the alternation between the two stages of sleep, non-REM sleep and REM sleep. And it oscillates. And if you look very carefully, you can see that this temperature curve is modulated by that non-REM cycle. The overall message is, temperature and sleep regulation are very closely related. So that's just one point I wanted to make. Now, interestingly, when you look at climate change, obviously there is a rise in temperature, but in many, many areas of the world, the night temperatures are actually warming faster than the day temperature for all kinds of reasons that have to do with heat loss during the night. There's some variation, but overall, you can make the statement that the increase in temperature hits the nights more than the days, which is of course relevant if you are interested in temperature and sleep regulation. Yeah. Now, people have looked into this. This is a study that was published a couple of years ago in One Earth. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with that journal. It's quite an interesting journal. And what these people did is they collected data from 47,000 adults who were wearing an Oura ring, which can give you some idea about when people are asleep and awake. So they had 7.4 million nighttime sleep records. Not bad. And then they linked this with daily weather and climate data. Now, so these are all measurements outside. And then they did, some interesting statistical analysis, and then they looked at the effects of nighttime temperature on sleep. Yeah. And then here they looked at the percentage point change in short sleep. And basically what you can see is that nighttime temperature going up, there is going to be more short sleep. Yeah, so there is a reduction in sleep duration as measured by these aura rings as nighttime temperature, outside nighttime temperature increases. And then what they did, they actually looked at these concentration pathway scenarios and could basically predict how much sleep was going to be lost with climate change associated with emissions and temperature rise. So that clearly shows you the potential of measuring things in the environment for sleep. So the next question, of course, is, well, why is sleep important? And now there is a vast literature, epidemiological studies that show that short sleep is associated with increased cardiovascular risk. It's increased with obesity. It's increased with dementia. And there is also a large literature showing that sleep associates with mental health. Actually, sleep predicts mental health. This is a study where people in a very large population-based study in Norway looked in 24,000 people. In year X, asked people whether they had insomnia complaints, so complained about poor sleep. And then 11 years later, they reassessed these people and wondered whether they were depressed, yes or no. And if you had sleep complaints, you were 2.4 times as likely to be depressed than when you had no sleep complaints. And this is just one example of how sleep is important for health. So sleep in general can be considered a good indicator of health status. Yeah. So and that's why we are interested in. Now, in projects that we are doing, we are interested in, for example, approaches to study climate change and neurological disease, aging, dementia, and sleep. And the basic approach is longitudinal monitoring of the outdoor environment, the indoor environment, sleep, and measures of physiology, which can give you some indicator of the health status of people. And the way you do this is you put a lot of sensors in the homes of people and do daily measurements. And you do these daily measurements not over a week or a month, but you can do it over a year or multiple years. Yeah. Now, if you want to do this, there are, of course, technology requirements. People don't like to charge their wearable every so many days. They don't necessarily have to push a button to start a device. So you need to really create zero burden devices. And that's what we're going to talk about. Longitudinal, of course, the measures must be valid and scalable, but also means that they need to be affordable. And then you need to create some infrastructure so that you can manage those data. So what we have done here is we have evaluated many devices and different technologies. And these are nearables of devices to measure aspects of sleep, nearables or wearables. We also have used EEG sensors, but they are not necessarily suitable for real longitudinal recordings because they are not zero burden. And then we also have looked into a number of sensors to measure environmental factors. The way we do it, we take people, in this particular case, older people or people living with dementia, give them these devices, they install them and use them at home. Then after a couple of weeks, we bring them to our Sleep Research Centre and look at those data and those devices and also compare them to gold standard technology. Yeah, so we can see how good these devices are. And then, we can see that this particular device, which is the Whiting Sleep Analyzer, which you simply put under your mattress, plug-in, and you don't have to do anything. You don't have to charge it. You don't have to start it. And it's also not that expensive. For 120 or 130 pounds sterling, you can buy one. And what we do in the evaluations is, for example, look at what this device measured and compare it to some kind of a standard. This is just about time in bed. How long do you spend in bed? And you can see that there is a very good association between the measurements from this device, and in this particular case, self-reported. We have also evaluated against video. This is a video of a person in the sleep lab who obviously leaves the bed. Bed exits in general are not a good sign in terms of sleep quality, and you can see that the gold standard and that sleep mattress device, under the mattress device, gives similar estimates. You can go much further, and you can also look at measures such as heart rate or even sleep apnea, sleep disordered breathing, which is a sleep disorder, which actually has been shown to be affected by environmental temperature. This is just an example of a 2-week measurement at home from these devices. So the take-home message is, we have devices that you can use in the home environment, okay? And these devices come up with valid measures. The next thing you can do is do longer term recordings, yeah? So here we have a recording from May 2021 until January 2023. This is outdoor temperature. This is temperature in the lounge, temperature in the bedroom, and temperature in the kitchen. And you can see that when it's hot outside, it is hot inside as well. The other thing you can see that outside, it cools better than inside. Yeah. So the heat waves that may still give you some coolness during the night when you're outside, in many homes keeps it very warm inside. And this, of course, has implications for how you sleep. And then the next thing you can do is do this in a larger group of people. So we did this in 70 homes. We had a total of 26,000 days and nights. You can analyze how these environmental variables relate to sleep variables. Yeah. So we had light, we had temperature, and we had many sleep variables. This is a summary, which I'm not going to explain to you. I'm going to show you some results. So first of all, if you look at the association between the outdoor environment and the indoor environment, there are associations. So this is light. When it's a bright day outside, your indoor environment will also be brighter. But don't forget to see that, of course, there is an order of magnitude difference in light intensity outside and indoor, but there is an association. You can also look at the outdoor temperature and the indoor temperature. And again, there is an association. Yeah. And these are the maximums and these are the minima. So the point to make here is that there is a continuity between the outdoor environment and the indoor environment. And that I think is relevant to this project. You can then, of course, add other environmental sensors like noise or air quality and do similar type of assessments. So here you actually see a 2.5-year measurement. We see outdoor light, lounge light, outdoor temperature, bedroom temperature, and in this person with dementia, how much time they spend in bed, what their respiration at night is, and what their heart rate is at night. And you can easily see patterns. And now you can look at seasonal variation in heart rate or bed exits, how disrupted your sleep is. You can then also do an analysis to see whether day-to-day variations in the indoor and outdoor environment relate to night variations in physiological variables. So here we have heart rate, here we have respiration rates, and you can, for example, see that nocturnal temperature in the bedroom increases your breathing rate and increases your heart rate. You can also see that the hours of bright light, yeah, if there is more bright light during the day, you can see that wake after sleep onset is actually lower. Yeah, so to having a lot of light indoors during the day helps you to sleep at night. And you can see that if nocturnal temperature is higher, that your wake after sleep onset is higher. So the importance, I think, of these data is that you can see that ecologically relevant changes in the environment have an impact on sleep, and thereby, in the long term, an impact on health. So my summary is, there are novel technologies out there that are useful for longitudinal monitoring of sleep and the environment. There is a continuum between the outdoor and indoor environment. A changing environment poses challenges for sleep and circadian physiology and health. And I think implementing these approaches offer many opportunities for this particular project. Of course, there have been many people working on this project. Several of them are mentioned here. And that's all I wanted to say. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Doc. I think you opened up a very different perspective, like the sleeps are so important for us and how much difference the noise, the light could make. So this is a fantastic sort of, the insights. And I think we're looking forward to how we integrate into the case studies, we are designing there. So really grateful for your time and fantastic presentation. Can I request actually people to just write their questions in the in the chat box with your name. So use the Q&A chat box so I can then use them later on. But without further ado, I would like to introduce to our second speaker today, and he is Dr. Akash Biswal. So Akash is a postdoctoral research fellow at the Global Centre for Clinical Research at the University of Surrey. He obtained his PhD from Punjab University, India, and pursued postdoctoral research in Japan before joining the University of Surrey. So his research applies data-driven approaches to regional and local air pollution modeling, integrating emission inventories, satellite data, and atmospheric simulations. And his recent work focusing on scenario modeling to evaluate the impact of green infrastructure interventions on air quality and urban climate resilience. So again, we are going to have a very interesting presentation. So over to you, Akash.
So let me see the screen. Yeah, so am I audible? Visual, right?
No problem. Just put it in this one. Yeah. Or slide.
Yeah. 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 So thank you for the nice introduction. So thank you for this opportunity to share one of our research activities in Global Center for Clean Air Research. So today I'm going to present about the DOI greening framework, which includes mapping, assessment, and environmental benefit modeling of urban green infrastructure. So just to introduce, we have a very interesting project that is GP4 Street, which stand for greening prescription for climate adaptation in urban streets. So the streets are the most important part of our neighborhood, and which are mostly deprived by their by green infrastructure. So in this project, we with 5 academic partners and which includes 9 local councils, we are trying to prescribe some greening solutions for the urban streets, so that we could be more adaptable towards future climate threats. So just to introduce our this GP4 Street projects includes 4 main working packages. The WP1, which includes how we design different type of green infrastructure case studies. Then the WP2 is the numerical models, and the WP3 is the multiple assessment of health and well-being. And the last work package is the WP4 GP4 Steel tool development. So which is the most important work package in terms of translate the overall project finding into a like user-friendly framework. So in today's presentation, I am going to share our research activities, how we are preparing those data sets to for like a innovative scoring framework for the GP4 tool development. So the tool includes 6 steps, which includes the user can choose their design and simulate their own green spaces, and after the user input select their green spaces, the tool will tell what sort of DOI parameters they required for to install or to implement those green infrastructures. So just to start with, as we first try to map what are the popular green infrastructure available across the UK. So we took 112 cities and towns in England and Wales where the population exceeds around 70,000. So the map yeah, so the map here shows the cities and town shape files, and in the right hand side, the plot over here shows the NDVI and the population across these 112 cities. So upon this analysis, we came to know that around 85% of these cities where the NDVI is less than 0.6, which shows that there is still scope of enough scope for greening in our neighborhood streets. So we come up with a approach that which includes the Google Street View image and aerial image analysis. So using the Google Street View and aerial image, we could see and monitor the green infrastructure available in the streets as well as the household. So we choose we choose many location in across the 112 cities to get mapped all these green infrastructures. So we divided the green infrastructure into two scales, that is the street scales and the household scales. The typically the street GI types includes the trees, roadside grass, and the green median, which mostly seen in the at the edge of a road, and the some of the street haze, then straw, and some the hanging basket in the street pole and the street pot with plants. And in the household scale, green infrastructure includes the grass, trees, haze, container plant, hanging basket, and green wall, green screen, and green row. So we record all these data sets and score into our platform. So further coming to the data extraction and scoring framework. So in this work, we try to get the DOI parameters of the cost, establishment cost, maintenance cost, space requirement, and the associated economic benefits into a simplified scoring framework. We use these symbols for all these DOI parameters, and further divided into different levels from negligible, low, medium, high, and very high. As the main purpose of the tool is to translate all these complicated data set into simplified symbolic way, so that the residents could see and understand and plan accordingly. So we designed all these symbols to make it easy for the residents to understand. So upon our mapping, we see that across the street scale, the street trees and the roadside grass are the most dominant GI types, which accounts for around 21% across the 112 towns. And for household, the most common GI was grass and the shrubs, followed by the hedge. So we also observed that that there are some locations where there are no green infrastructures which are present in the heart of the city. So we built the scenarios based on the individual GI types into 80 scenarios for street scale and household scale. So from the literature we extract these data set and try to score based on the literature and some of the linear interpolation methods to for all the scenarios the data are not available. So coming to the most important thing, the GI establishment cost. So the plot over here shows the establishment cost for the hedging plants, which are further divided into the evergreen, deciduous, and semi-evergreen. So the price varies across different height of the hedging plants, and the most evergreen, the most the that higher side is the evergreen hedging plants, which start from around 11 pound per linear meter. And then coming to the green roof. So the green roof are one of the expensive establishment. We could see as they require different specific plant types, and it requires a larger coverage. So we also compare the establishment cost across different countries in Europe, and they were somehow coming in the range of 120 pound per meter square. And coming to the trees, so the trees, the in the literature, the trees costs were reported in terms of in terms of per unit tree and per unit meter square if you plan to for area specific plantation. So coming to the GI maintenance cost. So the maintenance is kind of linearly linked with the GI establishment cost for both household and street scale. However, because of the higher cost for green roof and some integrated green infrastructure, there is a larger variation in terms of in the relation between establishment and maintenance of the GI in at household scale. So for example, the vertical greening systems such as living walls and green roof are among the most resource intensive and require frequent plant replacement, which adds on to the maintenance cost. So then another important aspect is the expertise of and space required for the GI. So in terms of the expertise, we try to score the different levels based on the Royal Horticultural Society, based on the qualification and standard that required for a specific type of green infrastructure plantation. So the spatial demands for all these green infrastructure for the scenarios varies based on their infrastructure type, species selection, and characteristics at maturity and intended ecosystem service delivery. So GI configuration range from a minimal allocation from 4 to 12 meters square for simple grass and container plant combination to complex systems requiring around 80 to 130 meter square area for these system to be implemented. So the last and the most important thing was the cost benefit assessment. For example, if one individual has put this much of establishment cost, how much economic benefit they will receive based with this investment. So in the literature, they are being analyzed based on the six key performance indicators known as KPIs, which includes the solar radiation input reduction, and the KPI 2 is the evapotranspiration cooling. KPI 3 is the water storage capacity, followed by the CO2 sequestration, and KPI 5 is the oxygen production, and KPI 6, which is another vital one, is the cooling or air quality benefits. So based on the data and after linking all to the establishment cost and annual benefits, we try to analyze the relations between establishment cost and annual benefit. So this distribution relation shows here in the x-axis is the establishment cost, and in the y-axis is the annual benefit. So you could see for the because of the household as they require as there are some complex systems which could return most of the annual benefit. For example, green roof will help in terms of maximum temperature reduction or giving more cooling, can return the investment up to more than 700 pound per meter square per year. And whereas for street scale, the annual benefits as they mostly account for street trees and grass, so they mostly help in the air pollution and the heating purpose. So somehow the distribution shows that the street scale, it is the relation is narrow compared to the household, and it is more linear spread to the establishment and the annual benefits. Whereas for household, we could see more economic benefits because of the integrated configuration types. So at the end, in summary, we mapped all the most common green infrastructure in the England and Wales. Then go to the literature to get the data for the expertise, cost, establishment cost, maintenance, space, cost benefit, and cost benefit, and then try to see try to score for all the parameters, so that for all the 5 parameters. And as an example, I am showing here for the scores we gave for the green infrastructure scenarios for household scale. So So, for example, for the grass, the cost is minimal, and we require more minimum level of expertise, and the space is and which is followed by lesser cost benefit in terms of the investment. So these data set we are generating. So this work is we managed to publish recently. And this data set we are generating to be get feeded to the GP4 Street tool, so that based on our future research plan, we are also planning to carry out some survey to validate these data set. So this hybrid approach will make more efficient to the GP4 Street tool to be more accessible and more reliable. So further, with all these green infrastructure scenarios, we saw that what are the DOI requirements needed, and another component is that how meticulously we need to assess what are the different impact they are going to provide. So for that, we are planning for a simulation exercise using at street scale and household scale. So for this, we are going to use NVMAT for different green infrastructure scenarios for front garden, back garden, and balconies. And further, just to upscale with the existing expertise in GCare, we will try to scale up these interventions, how they will affect the whole city at present and future climatic scenarios. So for the city scale modeling, we will be using the ADMS Urban to simulate the present and future scenarios at variable emission and future climatic scenarios. So this work is ongoing, and all these data with these DOI parameters, cost, maintenance, and benefit will be integrated to the GP4 Street tool. Stay tuned with us, and in future we will be able to present some more interesting simulation results, as well as the integrative way of starting from the cost to the benefit in terms of environmental benefits. Yeah. So that's all, and thank you for your patience and attention. So with this, I am ending my presentation, and I would like to give thank you my colleagues and Professor Prashant Kumar for this wonderful idea of research and the continuous support. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Akash. So you've done a fantastic job to finish in time, but give a very nice overview of the project. You may share your slides. Yeah, so this is a project which is in progress, so you can Google and find out more about the activities of the project there. Okay, so I'm just going to see whether we have got any questions for for our speakers there. So please do put your questions in the chat box. So I've got one question for Dirk. So that is from Dr. Anubhav Dwivedi, and he has asked regarding the bad sensors, not bad, it means bad, BED sensor. Does it has any constraint on the thickness of mattress? And just to add a little bit more. Sorry, yep.
Yes. So not really. And if you have a very, very thick mattress, you can also put the sensor on top of the mattress. And when it's being installed, there is some kind of a calibration procedure, which takes those differences in mattress thickness, etc., into account. So our experience with this device is actually quite good, and there are other people in the world who have been using this, and it's now becoming this contactless zero burden technology is becoming a very powerful tool to look at measures longitudinally. And as I said, one of the things that we are doing and needs to be done is to combine this sensor with many sensors that can measure the indoor environment, and then you can start combining these different variables and data streams.
Perfect. So just to also ask, so they go underneath the bed, right? So where you're sleeping?
Under the mattress, yes.
Under the mattress. So does they capture the movement or?
Yes, it's a balistographic approach. So it basically does sense the movements that are there because of your breathing patterns, your heart rate, and of course also the larger body movements. And balistography is a very well developed field. There are other contactless approaches like radar systems, but they also pick up the movements associated with breathing and the heart rate and your larger body movements. And your heart rate and breathing changes with states. You awake, your heart rate is in general higher than when you are asleep, etc., etc. So there is a big area of research and literature on these kind of approaches and the kind of information you can extract from it. And this, I'm not sure I mentioned this, this particular device also has a little microphone, so it can pick up snoring. It can pick up whether you stop breathing during sleep because of sleep apnea. And people have looked at, for example, the indoor temperature or the outdoor temperature in this particular place, and the severity of that sleep disorder. And there are associations. There is an emerging literature on air quality and sleep as well, and in particular sleep disordered breathing and etc., etc. And of course, if you're interested in associations between the outdoor and the indoor environment and the impact of that on physiological and health outcomes, this is a start. But I'm sure, and there are already, there are companies that use basically sound, audio, as their main signal. Yeah, and of course there are sounds associated with breathing and breathing rate changes. So you can also, by simply detecting sound, extract a lot of information about how you sleep. But the key really is to combine these measures with environmental measures. And these environmental measures can be many, the temperature, light, air quality, and noise, etc., etc.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you. So I believe that this is basically when you are based on your movements. If you're not still, you're still, then it means you're sleeping, right? Is this the assumption they take?
Yeah, but it's not just your body movement; it's also your breathing patterns and your heart rate. Yeah, and through signal analysis, you can extract these physiological signals from that device.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Any more questions, either for Akash or for Doc?
There is one comment from Anubhav. Can you see, Prashant?
There's one more comment. Single person sleeps double bed. Oh, so if a single person sleeps on double bed, will it be able to measure the heart rate? But it could also be other way around, right? If there are two people sleeping on a bed, how will that,
So, well, first of all, if you are single sleeping in a double bed, you're most likely still always to sleep on the same side of the bed. If you go to a hotel and there is a double bed, you choose one side, and the next night you will sleep on the same side. And of course the device needs to be positioned there where you sleep. if there are two people in one bed, and let's hope it is a double bed, you can obviously put two devices in that bed. We haven't done this, but that should be feasible as well. But we haven't done really the validation for two people sleeping in a bed, and that's something we should soon do, which is a good student project.
Perfect. Anyone else? Any more questions? Any of the speakers? No? I believe that we could also take this opportunity. Do we have some of our team members? We have Vixen here. Is he here? No? Vixen, you are here, right? He's designing, so we're designing a study, and I thought like he had some queries he might ask, but anyway, it's fine. So maybe, yeah, we could possibly close it. Anyhow, we are only 4 minutes down the line, so yeah. So I think, can we give a bigger round of applause to both our fantastic speakers today for their contribution? So, and obviously, this will be available to read through later on. So the next webinar we are going to have is going to be on 17th of December. So this was the webinar which was presented by our Surrey colleagues. The next one is from North Carolina State University, Dr. Jennifer Richmond Bryant. And another speaker is Professor Roberta Cronho from University of Sao Paulo. So we'll have a very diverse the speakers coming from 2 different parts of the world. So we would like you to note the time in your diaries just to make sure that you block this time, but we might be able to send you the Outlook invites to block your diary there. So that's going to be on 17th of December, 4 to 5 p.m. UK time. Yeah, so I think I think we have already requested everybody to join as a speaker, but if you haven't really answered and still waiting to respond to that email, that'd be very helpful, so we can finalize our speakers, although we seems to have quite a lot already been sorted out. And yeah, looking forward to working together with you on this interesting project and developing some ideas for further funding and developing some research publications together. So with that, I would like to thank everyone again for your time and joining this fantastic session. And again, thanks to our special speakers today, and also to Sohela, who did a fantastic job in putting together the slides and the promotion material with the help of Charlotte. And thanks for Sarkaut, chipping in at the last minute, because Sohela could not join today, so she's traveling. Yeah, thank you very much, guys. Yeah, really appreciate that. Bye then.
Thank you, guys. It was a pleasure. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye.